this is 10 tips on how to make better Aztecs. Number one, understand the functionality of Aztec. That's the number one thing you got to understand. It's an exaggerator gene, a lot like the marble, but it doesn't really reduce the black in the same way that marble does. So what I mean by exaggerator gene, I mean that the typical phenotype expression that snake would have, whether it was a sharp back diamond, an aberrant, rounded, connected, spread out back diamonds, in terms of pattern structure, it just basically exaggerates those traits. That's why you get such variety in the looks of Aztec. It's because it's an exaggerator gene, and its expression is heavily dependent on the secondary traits that determine pattern structure. So especially with like back diamond count, when you see those ones that almost have like a normal look to them but are kind of off, like they're like the back diamonds are kind of spread out and there's not a lot of side outlining, it basically exaggerates everything. So that's the first thing you got to understand is its functionality, and that it's an exaggerator gene. Now, because it's a exaggerator gene, it's very important to try to break up the back pattern, because any kind of rounded or interconnected back diamonds, when added to something like Aztec, if they're interconnected, they're close, they're elongated, it will stripe out. So if you don't want striped Aztecs, you're going to have to really move away from that back pattern structure that causes Aztec to really just exaggerate it into a striped out animal. So I wanted to let everyone know Herpstat is running a sale for the next 2 weeks. I think it's till the end of the month. If you need a Herpstat, I think it's a Herpstat 12% off or something. Typically, I don't really promote stuff. I don't have any affiliate links with them. I don't make any money off of this. I've just been using their products for almost 20 years now. They're great products, and go check that out. So 3 is adding polygenic traits to get sharp back diamonds. And the reason you want to do this is because there's a tendency with sharp back diamonds to have a quick fall off from each other, from like the lowest point of the back diamond on the side to the next lowest point of the next back diamond on the side. There is a much greater fall off when you have a straight line versus a curved line. So that will help create some separation. And, you know, something in certain localities, you can still get a high back diamond count while still getting a heavy fall off. Super dwarfs have it a lot. That's why you can have a lot of super dwarfs that have a classic pattern but have a high number of back diamonds and still a classic pattern. It ternates similar too. Yeah, so, and that'll also help give it each animal a much more unique look. So, you know, because Aztec's definitely one of those things. They're kind of like an animal by animal basis, and that's essentially how they're going to have to be priced moving forward, whether people realize that or not. Number 4 is use localities that have a wider color spectrum. That's more of your Saputri stuff. That's a little towards the darker spectrum. Halmas towards the darker spectrum. Mindanao, the anything from the tribal lines, ternate, that kind of stuff that has a wide color spectrum, start adding that into it to get a little more pop on the side, because I'll talk about side banding later, but that's going to add wider color spectrum in areas that already have a lot more of area coverage for that color to be expressed. So definitely start adding in stuff has a higher color spectrum. I'll give you an example. The Felucus I made, they probably have the widest color spectrum of any, you know, retic we've seen produced, and you know, that's actually what I was going for. So something like that is going to give you a lot more range for color. And I'm not sure, I haven't really looked closely enough at Aztec to see exactly what it's doing to color. That's something I need to look into, and I just haven't, you know, I have never seen one in person, so that makes it a little harder for me to see if it's limiting color spectrum at all, but it could be to some extent. So adding as much range in there as possible is what you want to do. Use localities with thicker black with Aztec, and the reason you want to do this is not so much for just an Aztec, but for morph combos. You know, if you're putting platinum in there, you're putting sunfire in there, you want to get some thicker black to try to offset what you're going to lose from the other morphs. So, thicker black on Aztec just by itself could be one of those situations that you don't want, especially if you get a little bit of a rounded back pattern and they start to bleed into each other, because the thicker the black, it kind of takes up more space and kind of shortens the distance in between the two lowest points of the side, where the side of the back diamonds come down onto the side. So it can shorten that distance. So you do have to be careful there. But if you're doing morph combos, that's a situation where you want to try to add a little bit of it back. Number 6, if you're doing morph combos with Aztec, you're much better off to use morphs that have already had localities bred into them. You're not setting yourself back with kind of that generic run-of-the-mill rounded back pattern, low side outlining, limited color. The morphs that already have the locality traits into them, they're already carrying a lot of polygenic traits for color and pattern that's going to help improve Aztec. Whereas your run-of-the-mill stuff that's however many generations inbred, it's not going to have any of that stuff. So you're putting yourself, you're taking steps back. Like when, this is one of those cases where even though you're moving forward with the Aztec morph combos, you're still taking steps back on the polygenic front. And with something like Aztec that's so heavily relied on secondary traits for creating nice Aztecs, you don't want to take these steps backward. Even if you can get 25% in, 12.5% in, like out the gate, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it to do that. Stacking these polygenic traits into your Aztec projects as soon as possible, because for your best option for polygenic expression of whatever you're trying to achieve, it's so much more likely to get that look when it's coming from both sides of the parents. The offspring are just, and I can show you just look at my snakes. Any amount of investigation in anything I've done will clearly show you that you get a higher result and a better result when these traits are coming from both sides. So, if you're trying to get Sunfire into Aztec, I don't recommend just a run-of-the-mill Sunfire. Super dwarf, whatever the localities are that are going to help. If it's out there, I highly recommend that project versus run-of-the-mill stuff, because you're taking steps back. It's moving you backwards while you're moving forwards on the morph combo side, because you're losing so many polygenic traits and secondary traits that can improve your look by doing that. So just use what's available. If there's 75% this, 50% that, whatever, get it, use it. It'll help tremendously. Number 7 is don't use morphs that have tendency to stripe things out. And I don't mean like don't use marble, don't use this, don't use tiger, because those type of morphs are more dependent on stuff that's striping. I'm talking about things like don't use genetic stripe. It's unlikely that, it could yield some good results, but it's unlikely that genetic stripe Aztec's gonna really look like much. I can't really see titanium Aztec looking like much. I might be completely wrong. I doubt it. Something that does have a tendency to add some back striping, like Jag, that's a different situation, because Jag seems to be a dominant expressing gene. I think it's triggered much earlier in embryonic development, and I think that's actually why it causes all the inner ear issues and other balance stuff. But that's, it's a whole nother topic. But something like that that will force Aztec to act within the parameters of Jag, you're not going to get the same results as you're going to get with something like genetic stripe that's really just altering pattern structure to a striped out snake. So I would stay away from those situations. Something like hypo, there does seem to be some striping with that. That would still be something that I would recommend. But then again, I mean, you're definitely running into some situations where you could get some very, very striped out animals. So kind of proceed with caution on some of these, but right out the gate, I would say, something like obviously titanium genetic stripe. It's just not. It's really just a no-go for that. Now, I don't know if I mean, it would take a lot of polygenic traits to offset that. So I don't even think it's possible. But something like a super tiger might be a completely different situation, though, since a lot of the tigers look good. So if you can break up patterns significantly with the right type of back pattern and layer a super tiger on there, I think there's a really good chance that with the right secondary traits, something like an Aztec super tiger will actually look really impressive. So moving forward, these are things that people are going to have to try. But like other things, you can probably stay away from even ghost, because a lot of ghost has a lot of striping, so you're going to have to be careful how you run that. So okay, number 8, use Mindanaos. Mindanaos can actually have a little bit of a negative effect, how their back patterns set up. Not all of them, but some of them actually could. So that's kind of the caveat to this. But you can use Mindanaos to get a really, really nice head stamp. You can add black ticking. You can add a lot more pattern outlining, a complete color shift. And they also have a tendency to kind of like separate some back patterns. So you can get some back pattern separation, which is actually what gives Aztecs, like if you look at the Aztecs overseas, the ones that everyone's always talking about, look at their back pattern, look at their back diamond separation. That's what people really want, because the ones people like have back diamond separation, and the ones people are like, that they don't. Just look at it. Trust me. Like I said, you can lighten them up. You can take them more towards that green. You can add the black ticking, which really helps with contrast on the sides. And Mindanaos aren't exactly giant snakes, so you can downsize them a little bit. Plus, if you're running them into other morphs, we know Mindanaos go great with Ternate. We know Mindanaos go great with Superdwarfs. We know Mindanaos go great with Marble, Sunfire, Platy, Tiger. So there's all these, it'll help set you up for making better Aztecs and better Aztec morph combos. Number 9, which is really should have been number 1, use Ternates. I mean, I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on that. I mean, I wouldn't say just use any Ternate. I would say I would use something with sharp back diamonds, aberrant back pattern, a decent color range. So, I mean, there are some Ternates that do have a little bit more of an elongated back pattern. I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't use Ternates that have too much of the really elongated side banding to get the really long rosette, because unless you can break that up and create, because sometimes you can actually split those when you mix and match them with other stuff, and you end up getting like a double count back pattern. But you're really, with Aztec being an exaggerator gene, you're much more likely to run into a side stripe than you are that. But yeah, Ternates, especially if you want to add, if you're using a red phase or something like that, you can really color shift it. But I mean, Ternate, that'll also help with head stamps. And if you're doing a Mindanao Aztec project, that'll allow you to combine them later on. If you're doing a Superdwarf Aztec project, you can use the Ternate blood to completely offset some of the loss you're going to get in Aztecs. So yeah, that's number 9. Number 10 is, I guess this is the most obvious. The Ternate is the second most obvious. Breed it into a Superdwarf. Start downsizing. If you're using other localities, don't worry about the color and pattern, at least not right out the gate. You're gonna get what you get. Superdwarf does what it does. We know what it does. So, but this is long game. We're talking long game here. We're talking stacking all these different traits, and the Superdwarf has a huge role to play in this, in downsizing. People want smaller retics. It's just reality. start downsizing Aztec. That's number 10, which technically should have been number 1, and Turn 8 should have been number 2, and Mindanao should have been number 3, but I went ahead and did it backwards. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously the thing you need to do is start shrinking them down. And don't be upset if they don't look as good as the mainland stuff. If you can get the right super dwarfs, there was just a clutch of my old line hatched out, which I think it's the first R&B reptiles Calatoas in, I don't know, like 3 years or something. I don't know. It's been a while. I know there's going to be some males of those available. I don't have them. I don't even breed my own lines anymore, which is ridiculous. But I know there's going to be some of those. If you're interested, hit me up. I can get you in contact with the breeder on those, and they're going to have them priced reasonably. They're not going to be like $5,000 a piece or nothing. But a lot of them have a lot of back diamond separation, a high back diamond count, so you could get a little offset right out the gate. So yeah, take a look at the lines you're using. A super dwarf, you want some sharp aberrant back patterns. Offset back diamonds will help a lot too. So yeah, but that's it. Those are 10 tips for making Aztec better. I hope you found this helpful. And if you like these videos, I don't make, well, I was gonna say I don't make any money, but that's not true. I just checked YouTube. I have $5.61 of ad revenue coming in. So I can't even begin to imagine how I'm going to spend all that money. If you do like these videos and you want to support me, I have a Patreon that's I don't do anything on. So, if you just want to go throw money away at that, fantastic. But I do have on my website, I have a link to a bunch of stuff on Amazon that we all use. Water bowls, paper towels, garbage bags, probes, snake bags, all of that stuff. It's all affiliate links. I'll make like a quarter basically if you buy something. So if 4 million people go there, then I'll make $1 million, which would be fantastic. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But that's just one way you could support me without just giving me money. And you could use some of these Amazon links, and I'd greatly appreciate it. It would help me out. And it's not going to pay for the time I do this, and I realize that. But if I could get a couple bucks coming in, that would be fantastic. So, but yeah, I hope this helped, and I hope you guys think about this stuff and really start moving forward with your selective breeding. The old breeders aren't going to. It's up to the new breeders to really start pushing forward selective breeding. They just I mean, after 20 years they just don't get it still. So it's up to the new generation of retic breeders to really push retics forward, and that's the reason I'm putting out these videos. So I hope this helps, and go to my affiliate links and buy some shit on Amazon so I can make 25 cents.